everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm so excited to share our family's week-long adventure to the Norwegian Fjords on the P&O Iona, which we sailed in June 2025. This was our second cruise with P&O, but our first time sailing on Iona, and trust me, she did not disappoint. We didn't have this channel back then, so we don't have as much video footage as we would like. However, we've got plenty of photos and we're more than happy to share those throughout the video. On this cruise, we visited Stavanger, Olden, Flåm and Haugesund, and we even celebrated Jasmine's 8th birthday on board, which made the trip even more special. So grab a drink, sit back, and join us as we take you through some of the most breathtaking scenery we've ever seen. This was our second visit to Norway. Our first trip was back in 2022 for our friend's son's baptism. And even though the visit was centered around the celebration, we completely fell in love with the country. The scenery, the atmosphere, the calmness, there's just something magical about Norway. So returning this time, we already had a sense of what to expect, and we knew we were in for another unforgettable experience. Norway has this way of drawing you back. We were so excited to explore even more of it on this cruise. We kicked off our trip with a 3.5-hour drive from Manchester down to Basingstoke, where we stayed overnight. Breaking up the journey made embarkation day in Southampton so much easier, especially with 2 kids in tow. On the morning of the cruise, we headed to the terminal an hour before our scheduled embarkation time and dropped our bags at the luggage drop. This time we decided not to use the cruise terminal parking. It's super convenient, but definitely on the pricier side. Instead, we drove to nearby West Quays shopping centre and parked there. It's only a 4 to 5 minute drive from the port and costs around £50 for the entire week, which we thought was great value. We left the car at West Quay and grabbed a £5 Uber back to the terminal. We checked the price again for our Christmas cruise in a few weeks. Sadly, this bargain seems to have gone. Parking now looks to be around £15 per 24 hours, so it really adds up. Once we arrived at the terminal, we queued for about 10 minutes before heading inside. There was a queue, but it moved quickly and we didn't feel like much of a wait. Check-in was super smooth. There were lots of check-in desks, and because most of the details are completed online beforehand, the whole process was really quick. Security was also a breeze, with no queues at all. And then it was time to board. We entered the ship through the atrium, which was beautiful, and headed straight to our muster station to complete the safety check. We started the holiday with a sea day, which is always so relaxing and gives you plenty of time to explore the ship and dive into the never-ending list of activities happening on board. With P&O, you get a daily Horizon magazine that lists everything going on around the ship and includes helpful information about each port day. It's genuinely useful, and Greg basically carries it everywhere we go, so he always knows what's happening. After a lovely day relaxing and letting the kids have a few hours in the Reef Kids Club, our first port of call was Stavanger. This was such a charming place to walk around. We spent time wandering through the old town, where the wooden houses lined these beautiful cobble streets. Honestly, it felt like stepping into a postcard. There's also a lovely local market right next to the cruise port. We browsed the stalls, enjoyed the atmosphere, and just took in that first taste of Norwegian culture. Next up was Olden, and this ended up being one of our absolute favorite days of the entire cruise. We had booked the Loen Skylift through a company called Olden Adventures, who took care of everything: the coach, transport to and from the lift, the timings, and all the logistics. It honestly couldn't have been easier, and I'll pop a link to their site in the description. When we arrived, the queue for the cable car was quite long, but the weather was absolutely gorgeous, so we didn't mind waiting at all. We even made the most of the time by dipping our toes into the fjord. The water was freezing, like properly icy, but the scenery was so stunning that it didn't even matter. The Loen cable car itself takes around 5 minutes each way, and it's absolutely worth doing. As you rise up the side of Hoven Mountain, the views get better and better. When you finally reach the top, the panorama over the fjord and the surrounding mountains are genuinely breathtaking. We spent ages up there taking photos, wandering around, and soaking up the atmosphere. It's one of those places where you could easily spend hours and still not get enough. As you can see from the photos, even in June, it was pretty chilly up at the top. And of course, the kids took the opportunity to launch a full snowball attack on Greg. There's plenty of snow around, which made it feel extra magical. We didn't try them ourselves, but there are also other activities you can do at the top, including zipline and several walking trails if you're feeling adventurous. There's also a cafe and a little gift shop, so you can warm up with a drink and pick up a souvenir while you enjoy the view. On one of our sea days, we finally slowed down a bit and took some time just to relax. And I even managed to sneak away to the spa for a few hours. Honestly, it was absolute bliss and exactly what I needed after a couple of busy port days. The spa on Iona is gorgeous. It has a really calming modern feel with warm lighting and cozy lounges and huge windows looking right out over the ocean. I booked the thermal suite, which included the hydro pool, steam rooms, sauna, salt room, and even those heated stone lounges that basically hug your spine. Pure heaven. The hydro pool was one of my favorites. You sit there in the warm water and it's impossible not to relax. There's also a gorgeous outdoor relaxation area. So you can sit wrapped up in a robe, sipping a drink, and feel the ocean breeze without actually having to deal with the chaos of the main pool. If you've ever been on a cruise with kids, you'll know exactly why that's such a luxury. Meanwhile, back in the cabin, having a balcony on the trip made everything feel extra special, even on a sea day. So it was so peaceful just stepping outside, looking at the waves, and watching the horizon stretch out forever. It gave the whole holiday a touch of luxury, even if half the time the kids were using it as a personal lookout for dolphins that never actually appeared. All in all, the sea day felt like a perfect balance: a bit of pampering, a bit of family downtime, and a whole lot of views. Now let's talk about Flåm, because this absolutely stole our hearts. It's one of the most picturesque places we've ever visited. A tiny village tucked between towering mountains with waterfalls trickling down the cliffs and the fjord stretching out like a mirror. It almost doesn't feel real. Everywhere you look is like a postcard. The air is fresh. The water is crystal clear. And there's this peaceful, calm atmosphere that just makes you slow down and soak it all in. It's the kind of place you keep taking photos and then immediately think, nope, this still doesn't capture how beautiful it actually is. We spent time wandering around the village, taking in the scenery from every angle and just enjoying the feeling of being surrounded by nature. Even just walking along the waterfront felt incredible. Mountains soaring above you, colourful little houses, and the fjord right at your feet. Flåm also has loads of things you can do if you want to make the most of your day. One of the most popular attractions is the Flåm Railway, which is often called one of the most scenic train journeys in the world. It takes you through mountains, past waterfalls, deep valleys, and some seriously dramatic landscapes. If you ever have the chance, it's definitely worth experiencing. But now, on to one of our personal highlights, Eiger Brew Pub. The place is an absolute gem. The building looks like a Viking hall on the outside, and inside it's just as impressive. Cozy, rustic, and filled with warm wooden beams, soft lighting, and a proper Nordic atmosphere. Greg was in his element here. He tried flights of beer, even sampled some moose jerky, which he claimed was surprisingly delicious. It's definitely somewhere we'd go back to. Whether you're into craft beer or just a unique theme spot with great vibes, Flåm is one of those places that just stays with you. Small, peaceful, stunning, and full of character. Easily one of our favorite stops of the whole trip. Our final stop was Haugesund, and for this one, we decided to do something a little different. We went thrift shopping. The town has several charity shops scattered around, and it was surprisingly fun browsing through them and seeing the kinds of things people donate in Norway. You get such a different feel for a place when you wander around the local shops like that. One of the larger charity shops we visited was right next to the church, and it was brilliant, much bigger than we expected, and had everything from clothing, books, home decor, and little vintage finds. We spent ages in there, just exploring the shelves and comparing the quirky items we came across, and chatting with the lovely staff. It had such a warm community feel to it. The whole morning felt relaxing and slow paced, which was perfect after a busy few days of excursions and sightseeing. It was nice just doing something simple, wandering through the town, and getting a little glimpse of everyday life in Haugesund before heading back to the ship. Overall, this cruise was incredible. The P&O Iona is a beautiful ship, and the fjord is unlike anything we'd ever seen before. And getting to share it as a family, especially on Jasmine's 8th birthday, made it even more special. We were lucky enough to meet our new kitten, Draco, on the way home from Southampton, which was a lovely experience. And as you can see from the pictures, he was incredibly small and just stole our hearts. If you've been thinking about doing the Norwegian Fjords cruise, we absolutely recommend it. Thanks for watching and coming along with us. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a comment if you want to see more travel vlogs. See you in the next one.